People are scared. They're scared for their lives at that point in time in the beginning. Then they're scared for their business succeeding. And, those were dark days. And that was a chapter where I actually saw like, this could be the close of this. And that's not how I want this book to go.
Welcome to the Franchise Scale-Up Show, the go-to playbook for founders racing from 10 to 100 units. I'm Guy Coffey, franchisor, franchisee, and growth advisor. I know firsthand how fast this game moves and how quickly chaos can creep in. That's why each episode gives you the clarity, systems, and hard-won lessons you need to scale smart, protect your equity, and stay in control. You've got the vision. I'll help you build the infrastructure to match it. Let's dive in.
What chapter are you in? If you're an entrepreneur, you have to know that answer. You have a goal. In order to get to that goal, you have to have a route. In order to make a route, you have to have a starting point, which is what chapter you're in. As different as we all are as humans, we all have chapters that are universal, whether we're born in 1800 or 2025 in the US, in any other country, any other point on the globe. You're going to be born. You're going to have an early childhood. If you're lucky, you get to go to school, grade school, and then high school. If you're really fortunate, you get to go to some kind of continuing education, whether that's trade school or university. Then you're going to go into the workforce, and then you're going to have your own family, a lot of people. And you're going to have kids, and then you're going to get old, and the next part. You're going to die. So same thing is true of entrepreneurship. There are some chapters that we all go through no matter what the business. There's the idea, there is the planning, there's the capitalization, there's the kickoff, the start of operations. Hopefully, if that's what you want, there's some scaling of that. And then there is, at the end, 2 exits, an unsuccessful exit where it just shuts down. And then there are successful exits, whether that's being sold to another company or being handed off to the next generation in your family. As a guy that's kind of in that position right now, that's the dream, that your kids get to take it over and move it on and grow it from there, probably better than me. But those are all common chapters. And then within those chapters, of course, there are life events that are going on, right? I see it in actually hockey locker rooms that I'm fortunate enough to be in. Sometimes we have, especially during the summer when kids come back from college and are playing on the team, we have kids that are in their college years, and I get to hear their concerns and their things that they're pumped about and things like that. And then we have the older group that's out of school and they're starting their careers, and they might have a girlfriend or something like that, but they don't have kids or any real responsibilities. I hear about all their adventures and exploits and challenges and opportunities that they're facing. And then we have guys on the team that are just starting out. They have really young kids. They are, moving into their first or second home. They're building a career. They've got very, very busy schedules. I'm lucky enough to be on teams where there's guys that their kids are already out. They have kids out and about. They're getting grandkids. They're alone with their wife at home. They have a lot of more free time all of a sudden. And that brings opportunities and challenges itself. But there's all these chapters. And I think that each one of them has its own opportunities and challenges for sure. But everyone seems, in my life, everyone has seemed like the biggest challenge I've had so far to date. And one of the things that I recommend to people is talk to people that are in the next chapter, particularly the next chapter. Talk to someone that's 2 chapters away from you. Talk to someone that's already near, that's why the really elderly people in our society are the wealthiest in terms of having wisdom and experience. In my case, I have a few more older people in my life that have all that wisdom and experience, lots of experiences. They have a highly refined filter. They don't tolerate it. They can spot it from a mile away. Of course, nobody is looking at this chapter as their last chapter either. right? So I have a friend and a mentor who is 84, who is more socially active than I am. He does cooler stuff than I am, activity wise and sporting wise. And the last thing on his mind is this is the last chapter at all. And he's an inspiration. Then I have someone that's actually in my family that isn't having those same kind of experiences, but has so much wisdom and provides so much inspiration that a conversation with her is worth quite a bit. And you're going to get the truth and nothing but the truth, no matter how your feelings feel about it. And that's fine, right? I'll take that kind of truth all day long. And so for your business, see where you're at and see what the expectations are and the opportunities are, and go one step further, talk to someone that's further down the path than you, hopefully like the next step or two steps ahead of you, and get that wisdom. I know you're really busy. Everybody in every chapter of life thinks they're super, super busy. The only ones that I feel really sorry for are the dads and the moms that have like young children. That is truly, when you're in it, you're in it. It's a whole different level. So far, that's been the most challenging, of course, the most rewarding as well. But that is when life really is really busy. You know, you're new to all this and juggling schedules and deprioritizing your schedule for the kids' schedule and the family schedule and all that. So I would say, from someone that's been through that phase, if it feels super busy and overwhelming, it is, and it'll be easier down the line, but it's also so rich in terms of experiences and memories that just put on your boots and get it done and be engaged and be the best person you can be during that time. Of course, do that anytime, but that is when it's particularly impactful, I think. You have such a big impact on those kids. But in any case, going back to the business, yeah, you're going to be super busy. It's really important to take the off ramp on that, scaling highway and touch base with people, engage business people, family, get different perspectives on things, get away from the business for a little bit. And then when you come back, you're going to be ready, in a better state of mind and clearer thinking. And that's the story I have for you today. Is when we were building, especially during COVID, during the shutdowns, it was a really scary time for us, and it forced us to stop. Basically, we had 22 studios that were less than 6 months old. People didn't have cash flow yet. They're burning through capital. People are scared. They're scared for their lives at that point in time in the beginning. Then they're scared for their business succeeding. And, those were dark days. And that was a chapter where I actually saw, like, this could be the close of this. And that's not how I want this book to go. That's not how Stephanie wanted that book to go. And then we started writing a new chapter. And we actually came out of that, meaning Frenchies, came out of that stronger, more profitable, higher AUVs, a new product line, everything. So we wrote a new chapter and we made that chapter happen. And we didn't do that alone. We did that with our team and our franchisees and our vendors and suppliers that were true partners. And that is also when you find out who's a true partner and who has just been selling to you. And that can be a little bit disheartening. They can be the villain in this book story, this book analogy. But focus on the ones that are going to be there with you, and you'll find out in those more challenging times. And write your own chapter, write your next chapter. So that's the point. And the lesson here is, figure out where you are right now in your entrepreneurial journey. If you need some help, I can help you. So can other people that have a more objective view on where you're at, and get down to exactly where you are in your entrepreneurial journey without any of the emotional filtering that you might have yourself or people that are with you on the journey. Get it from an outside source. I always think advisory boards are a good idea. Someone just asked me about that the other day. Or a coach or an advisor, and get that truth, and then see where the gap is between where you want to be next have as many conversations, take as many actions as you need to make that happen, and write your own next chapter. It doesn't have to be what's going to happen if you let fate take over or something like that. So that's the lesson in this, is that you can write your next chapter, but you have to do it from a place of truth. And that's finding out what chapter you're in right now. So that would be my recommendation. And if you need any help with that, please reach out. Thanks.
That wraps up today's episode of the Franchise Scale-Up Show. If this gave you a strategy you can put into play, please share it with the one founder who needs the help. You might save them months of pain. If you're ready to go deeper, whether it's building your support infrastructure, accelerating territory sales, or preparing for private equity, go to guycoffey.com. That's GUYCOFFEY, and book a free franchise growth strategy call. I only partner with founders who are committed to scaling without losing control. If that's you, I'd love to connect. Until next time, protect your vision, move fast, and scale smart. I'm Guy Coffey. Talk soon.